It is clearly an indisputable scientific fact that biological males have a superior power and stamina and lung power and all these other things to biological females, because if they didn't, we would never separate the sexes in sport. The Olympics would be gender neutral, and they're not for a reason. Women wouldn't win anything. So when I hear you try and justify it or say that there's a scientific, and maybe there's not, maybe I'm misquoting you here, but there's some kind of scientific reason why it's fine, I'm like, hang on, Neil, you're Mr. Reality Check. You're Mr. Cold Hard Fact. Surely you can see that this is wrong without it actually having to be transphobic to say that.
In today's video, Neil deGrasse Tyson absolutely destroys Piers Morgan in a heated debate on trans athletes in women's sports. And let me just say, things get heated. Neil tries to explain some pretty straightforward ideas, scientific facts, logical conclusions, things most people would grasp if they just listened. But of course, Piers, in true MAGA fashion, keeps cutting him off, misrepresenting his points, and pretending like he's got some sort of gotcha moment every time Neil pauses to take a breath. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. So let's dive in and watch how Neil deGrasse Tyson shuts down Piers Morgan in this heated debate.
Well, so you have me here live on your show. We don't have to comment on other shows. So let's just have this conversation.
Yeah.
So I did my own study of the relative speed of men relative to women in Olympic sports, the world records, from the 100 meters to the 200 meters, the 400, right on up to the marathon. And what I noticed is in every event, on average, men were 10% faster than women, 10% faster. And in events that require strength, that percent was even higher. I forgot what my exact number, it might have been 50% stronger, okay? So across the board, that is the case. So that's not, there's no dispute there. That's
right.
Just objective truth. So now we have to ask, why do we watch sports at all, okay? And at Friday Night Lights, that's in the United States, that's high school football. Saturday, it's college football. Sunday, it's the NFL. Do you realize, of course, that the worst team ever in the NFL could wipe its ass with the best team ever in college? Why? Because every single player in the NFL was the best person in their college. And so there's no contest between these zones of athletic engagement. But we still like watching college. We don't watch college and say, you know, the Philadelphia Eagles could whip their ass, so let's not watch it. No, we like the equality of the contest and not knowing who would win. That's what makes sports fun. Okay, so if there's a wave of trans women who dominate the sport against other women, all those sports will become less interesting based on how we all watch sports. Even the Super Bowl here in the United States, if it's a blowout by halftime, nobody watches the second half.
Right.
We watch it for the equality of the contest. Okay, so
sounds like you agree
all
with
I'm
me
saying is, like you said, wait, I'm almost done. So what I see is sports is on the frontier of how to handle this frontier of people who are trans. It's on the frontier of how to resolve that. And I'm making this up now. Imagine the future of sports does not distinguish sex. It distinguishes and sorts people by hormone ratios. I'm making this up, but imagine that if that were the case. That would be interesting. You get a hormone test, you're in this range, and then you compete against other people with the same range of hormones.
That's ridiculous.
That's
Neil, that is ridiculous.
No, it's not. I'll tell you why it's not ridiculous.
You're going to give every single person in sport a hormone test.
Piers starts by starting the obvious, that biological males have advantages in strength and speed over biological females, something Neil doesn't even argue against. But instead of just leaving at that, Neil actually tries to find a solution that keeps sports fair while also acknowledging that trans athletes exist and deserve a way to compete. Seems reasonable, right? Not for Piers. Neil's proposal? A new system that sorts by hormone levels instead of gender. That way, instead of just shutting trans athletes out, you create a fair playing field where competition remains balanced. And honestly, this isn't a wild idea. Sports already have weight classes, age divisions, and even separate leagues based on skill levels. Sorting by hormone levels? Not so crazy, and not a bad idea too.
Hold on. I used to wrestle. And wrestling, there are people who weigh, sorry, am I using pounds here, 125 pounds, right on up to 240 pounds. They don't wrestle each other. The entire sport separates people so that the contest is interesting.
Yeah.
And so the people of the same weight wrestle each other, and that is the contest.
But if Floyd Mayweather...
I don't know if that's how it will land.
Hang on, Neil. If Floyd Mayweather fought a woman boxer, a female woman boxer, who was the same weight division, he would annihilate her. That's why we don't let it happen. And in fact, in the Paris Olympics, the winner of one of the women's boxing competitions, one of the females who took her on... But my point is that I just think that, if you don't mind me saying, I say this respectfully because I love you, but it just seems to me like you've dug yourself into a slight hole on this issue, and you're trying to get out of it. Now you're suggesting slightly madcap theories, whereas the science to me is obvious. You've already given the best argument I've heard for why we separate the sexes.
Hold on. You misquoted me in this very interview. What I said was the idea of creating categories within a sport, splitting them in the example I gave, which I just made it up, like hormone ratios, is not fundamentally weird compared to dividing wrestlers by weight.
No,
because
it is.
The only reason why you do this is to make an interesting contest.
No, Neil, you're wrong.
And so you said Floyd Mayweather fight. Hold on.
You're
wrong.
Said
Floyd Mayweather.
You're not allowing for the superior male biology when it comes to lung capacity, stamina, to body mass, to muscle mass, all those things. If you just take one criteria of hormones, you're not allowing all that. I'll give an example. Caitlyn Jenner, who obviously... hang on. I'm going to finish my point. Let me finish my point. Caitlyn Jenner was an Olympic male decathlon gold medal winner. Caitlyn is a big golf fan. And when she started playing golf after she transitioned, she was allowed to play off the women's tees, which are 50 yards further than the men's tees. And she quickly realised that she was still smashing it 300 yards down, and obviously was then beating all the women that she played. So she now plays back off the male tees because her biology is that of a man. And I feel that was the most honest way to deal with it. I also feel that if you want to have a separate category, have a trans category. Or have trans women compete against men, which is their biology. Isn't that the scientific way to resolve this?
I don't have a solution. What I started this section of the conversation by saying that how you handle trans athletes is a frontier in sports that does not yet have a full solution. And I made up an example, like maybe you could divide people by hormones. I don't know if that would work physiologically, but at the end of the day, we watch sporting events because they are competitively interesting. And so something's going to have to get resolved there, and I don't have that solution.
I do.
I do. I just tossed up hormones.
You have a trans category, or you have the trans women compete against biological men, which is what they are.
Now, Piers argues that Caitlyn Jenner's golf performance proves that biology is everything and that trans women should just compete with men. But this completely ignores the fact that not all trans athletes have the same background, training, or advantages as an Olympic decathlete. Using gender as the universal standard for trans athletes is just lazy. The real kicker? Neil isn't even pretending to have all the answers. He outright says this is an evolving conversation that sports organizations need to figure out themselves. But Piers refuses to engage with the idea because, let's be real, he's not looking for solutions. He just wants a viral clip where he owns the debate.
And I completely respect trans rights.
That may be... That may be how it settles, but I don't know. But I'm telling you, it's a frontier without a current solution that everybody agrees to. That's all I'm telling you. And I started this by affirming, yes, men are faster and stronger than the average man is stronger and faster. Too. World-class men are faster and stronger than world-class women. Obviously, there's huge overlap when you come down the rest of the distribution.
The truth is, if you had a gender-neutral Olympics, how many women, biological female women, would win gold medals if it was open to men and women? The answer is literally like they might win one or two.
I'm trying to stay above. You're creating this world that makes great clickbait.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I'm not. No. I honestly,
yes,
I'm throwing back at you the thing you throw back at other people, which is science. I'm telling you that it's the scientific reality, unless you say otherwise, and I don't think you do, because you've already explained that men have a superior speed of power.
I'm not saying otherwise. I started this.
The science is clear. I
started this by saying it.
But the science is clear, isn't it?
And I'm saying the solution isn't clear, even if the science is. And so that's all. We can debate what could work. I think the world has to figure it out, and maybe they'll figure it out one day. And maybe it is hormone ratios. I don't know. But if it is hormone ratios and we don't compete sexes, we compete by hormones, that's a whole other interesting future of athletics. By the way, every Olympics, I pause and think to myself, which of these events can and should not be separated by sex?
There
are some already that are the case. And the equestrian. The equestrian does not separate men from women.
Equestrian and shooting, I think, also is another one where if they're sitting and shooting, there's no reason.
I didn't know. Yeah. So I just figured there's some that would be the case. And we can start there and just work our way up. So it's a frontier. People are thinking about it. Top people are thinking about it. And I'm not going to be the one who will have that solution.
Fair enough.
But at the end, I know when you're watching sports, you want to watch people who have equivalent talent compete.
Now, Piers, as usual, misses the point entirely. Instead of engaging with Neil's argument, he goes back to the same talking points. If we had a gender-neutral Olympics, how many women would win? Sure, Piers. But that's not even what Neil is suggesting. No one is saying erase all categories and let everyone compete together. Neil is saying we need to rethink how we create fair competition in an evolving world. Because like it or not, trans athletes exist, and the current system doesn't fully account for them. This entire debate highlights the problem with how people like Piers discuss trans athletes. They don't actually want to fix anything. Neil wasn't denying science, he was trying to have a conversation about how sports could evolve to ensure fair competition for everyone. But instead of listening, Piers just kept repeating the same old arguments and refusing to acknowledge that this is a complex issue with no easy answers. Pause. Are you getting tired of getting half the story from biased news sources? One outlet says one thing and another says the complete opposite. How are you supposed to know what's actually true? That's where ground news comes in. It lets you compare how different media outlets, left, right, and center are covering the same story. So you can see the full picture instead of just the echo chamber. And here's the best part. Click the link in the description and get 40% off the Vantage tier, which gives you even deeper insights into media bias and political trends. Stay informed, think for yourself, and check out ground news in the description down below.